Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And here I have a great article for you guys from Yahoo Finance. I'll leave a link to it in the description so you guys can check it out. So it wasn't all bad for Verizon. There were some positive takeaways that I wanted to discuss in this video and elaborate some more. So Verizon had a huge surge on their stock today, the most in 15 years, on its profit beat and raised guidance. So they had a raise and beat quarter on free cash flow, and the market was ecstatic. They were pleased with that. So the stock jumped almost 10%. So that was a huge deal to them. Although Verizon raised CapEx to the higher end levels for this year, they were able to offset that raise by raising the guidance for the free cash flow. So the market didn't care. Right? So be looking forward to Verizon to accelerate a bit more for these last few months of the year. Right? And then I think the CapEx for 23 runs through the first quarter of 24. So there's still going to be some money spent from that in the first quarter of 2024. So that was a huge positive, right? But not to turn this into a negative, but I do think eventually as they continue losing share in the market, it will start to impact the balance sheet at some point. I just don't know when that is. And if that were to become a problem, I do think eventually the board and Verizon, they will make a pivot if that were to happen. So the other positive is the fixed wireless access story. That's a pretty big deal. Verizon is taking that very serious. And in my opinion, they're taking it more serious than T-Mobile, right? They have all the right assets. They're deploying the right amount of density that they feel is necessary. They're using millimeter wave for some of the fixed wireless access already, right? If you listen to T-Mobile talk, they say, okay, in the future, we'll use millimeter wave and we'll put aside separate capital. Verizon is already deploying that. They'll deploy several thousand over the next few years, according to the interview I watched. And they've been deploying that since 2017. So they're deploying that very strategically in neighborhoods where they feel they can grow the fixed wireless access base, and they're using that to their advantage. And they can do that because they run their own fiber to it, so it's not a problem. So this is a product that you have to watch out for. I think they eventually, and this is just, future speculation, but I think eventually they will outpace T-Mobile in growth, and I think eventually they will guide a higher total of customers on that product than T-Mobile can currently do, right? T-Mobile is working off the back of their extra capacity. Verizon is really taking this fixed wireless access thing really serious, right? They're building the millimeter wave. They have the C-band. They're offloading. They're talking already cell splits. T-Mobile can do the same, but they're not actively engaged in that. And T-Mobile is going to be at 7 to 8 million customers by 2025. Verizon will be at like 3 to 4 million. But I think homes passed, Verizon will have the bigger opportunity as time goes on. They'll allow more people in a neighborhood to sign up versus T-Mobile, because T-Mobile is just working off of the sector of the tower that's looking into the neighborhood. Verizon has actually gone into the neighborhood to deploy small cells. Two totally different strategies, but I think at the end, Verizon will come out ahead. So in this quarter, they grew it to, I think, 384,000, if I remember correctly. And, as they scale the C-band and the millimeter wave still, I think that can eventually be a run rate of 400,000 to 500,000 a quarter for Verizon. I think it's a stable business. I think it's bringing them a new stream of revenue. They already said that's $1 billion business once it's all said and done and it's at scale. But I think, T-Mobile right now is at 7 to 8 million by 2025. They really haven't guided anything beyond that. I think Verizon will eventually go into the double-digit guidance by the end of the decade. I don't know where that will be. I don't know if they get to 14, 15 million, but I think they are more serious about it right now than T-Mobile. T-Mobile is taking the approach, okay, let's load up this extra capacity first, and then we will pivot to something else, and if needed, right? So right now, the market there's a lot of uncertainty for T-Mobile. Are you going to do fiber? Are you going to do millimeter wave? We don't know, but we know it with Verizon. There isn't any uncertainty there. They're doing fiber to the cell, fiber to the home still in the Fios areas. And by the way, they're expanding Fios into other areas too. So, Keep that in mind. And then they're running their own fiber to these small cells that provide also fixed wireless access. And they're using the millimeter wave spectrum, so no uncertainty there. And they're deploying the C-band very rapidly. With T-Mobile, still a lot of uncertainty. Are you going to do fiber to the home? Are you going to use the millimeter wave? Are you going to deploy C-band and DoD to any type of scale or acceleration? A lot of uncertainty. We don't know. What we do know is Verizon's deploying CBRS. They're deploying C-band. They've deployed millimeter wave. They're adding fiber to the cell. It's all there, right? That's something that T-Mobile will eventually have to disclose, and we'll see how aggressive they get. But for now, Verizon is very aggressive. Lots of positives today on the financials, which helped their stock, boost their stock. And a huge positive, of course, was fixed wireless access. So make sure you guys stay tuned for more. Like, share, subscribe, follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. See y'all in the next one. Peace.